what is the competition for? Huh? If you're not going in to prove yourself with, after a fall, moving up a level, like, what are you actually doing it for?
Happy Monday and super welcome to the podcast. If this is the very first episode that you're listening to, then make sure you hit the follow button so you don't miss out on any of our future buttons. Did I say buttons? Episodes? I meant, obviously. Button. I think literally there was like a big red button popping up on my screen and there was something about a button. Anyhow, I clearly meant episodes, so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. Okay, Lorna, that said, what are we going to talk about today?
Today, we got sent a really cool question from a lady, an interesting question, I think. And she had had a fall before stepping up to a new level. And she decided not to compete because she was a bit sore and obviously giving herself a bit of a fright. So she sent us in a cool question, wondering how, obviously she's ready to compete again. She's ready to go again, and she wants to know how she steps into that with the right mindset. Essentially, I think, or what my mind takes out of it is, she never got the opportunity the last time, and it sounds like her mind is filled in loads of the gaps, and now she's obviously questioning herself as to, how am I going to step into this with the right mindset or effective mindset, the most effective mindset.
Yeah. After that happened, so she was about to move up a level. She fell off the day before she was to do, and she decided not to go. Well, different reasons. Physically, she was injured, didn't feel great, but then mentally also it was. Yeah, we all know when things like that happen. Our confidence is not at its top. Let's say. Now she's recovered. Now she's ready to start again because, as you say, she was ready to make the step up. But now it's basically like, okay, that happened. I didn't go last time. How the hell do I go about this time? So we think there's really two different things in here. First of all, there is the recovering after the fall, right? Because if it's been a serious fall, if you've injured yourself, there is always that bit of like uncertainty, I suppose. Whenever you've had a fall, it's like, is that going to happen again? Yada yada yada. And then obviously there's the bit, so that's the second bit, which is all about moving up a level, really, after something like this happened. Even if you were ready, like physically, you've done the training, you've done the work, you were ready to make that step, but then something like this happened and you kind of don't really trust yourself anymore. So how do you get into the right mindset to make that step up?
Yeah, I think a lot of this is your subconscious mind at work, actually, when I hear you talk, because I don't think it's got anything to do with confidence. Everybody can chuck around the word confidence. Oh, I've lost my confidence, I've had a fall, this happened, yada, yada, yada. But I think subconsciously, our minds run this program about completion in the background. And as humans, we love complete stories. So we like a beginning, we like a middle, and we like an ending to our stories because we want things to make sense. And I wonder if part of it is that her brain had already written the ending before she'd gone, before she'd stepped up. So we arrive, we warm up, we compete, we hope that we come home feeling proud, we hope that we come home, we've learned things, we've got stuff to improve on. But we have an ending, like we have a process and we have an ending. And then suddenly there's not one, because your story stopped halfway through, essentially. So our brains don't like unfinished business or unfinished stories. So they actually start to do something really fascinating and they start writing the endings themselves. And obviously her ending is now her next chapter. But I do think perhaps her mind is running riot and writing all these new stories for her that actually have no facts in them.
Yeah.
And it can be lots of things, like, I'm not ready again. Well, actually, evidence that, you were ready before, so why are you not ready now? I've gone backwards. Well, where's the evidence you've gone backwards? I've lost my confidence again, so give me the evidence of that. It's harder now. None of that is factual. That is your brain, again, just trying to fill in those gaps or all those unfinished stories. So that's absolutely where I would go with this next. I do this with people all the time. Split your paper into two. One side write the facts, one side write the stories. And then facts are usually very short. I fell. I was sore. I withdrew. Like they're usually very short statements. Everything else is an interpretation. So I'm weak. I've ruined everything. I've missed my opportunity. It starts giving you dozens and dozens of stories. And I think I would often as well say, if your friend or somebody else experienced the same as you're going through right now, would they create the same story as you are in your mind? And usually the answer is no. And that tells us obviously something really important, that the suffering that we put ourselves through isn't caused by the event. It's caused by the meaning that we create to whatever that event might be.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Like, and when we talk about meaning, like to make that a little bit more practical, for example, um, so looking at this fall, for example, a fall is just a fall, really. If we look at it
Mm.
from a factual standpoint, what happened? Yeah, you
Yeah.
fell from your horse. Done.
Yeah.
Right. But
Mm.
the meaning that you then assign to that could be, and maybe that's what's happening in this case. I fell. That means I'm not ready to do this.
Yeah.
Means like notice the word means I'm not ready to do this. That is when we say you assign a meaning to it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. It could also mean something completely different. You know, it could also mean that I learned something that I actually needed in the competition. Like, I honestly think that some of my best competitions are the ones where the training before didn't go amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, we were talking about this the other day. Like, I'm preparing now for this 4-star step up that I'm going to make next week. And the last cross country training that I had 4 runouts. And, you know, you could look at that and be like, okay, that means we're not ready. Or you could look at it and be like, awesome that that happened, because now we were training and it happened in training. And
Yeah.
now I had a trainer next to me and she could tell me what I should do when my horse is about to run out. And then I needed to use my Astadrein a little bit more. So the fact that she fell now might just be the thing that's teaching her, like, she's going to get back on. And then, you know, she's probably going to talk it through with the trainer. What happened? What was the reason that you fell off? Okay, what can I do differently? And she's going to learn something, which might be just the one thing that she needs during the
Mm.
competition.
And I think that is gold information. And also, I think, what's your expectations of, going into something as well? Because I hear a lot of riders say that they need to prove that they can do it. After they've had a fall or something has happened, they need to prove that they can do it. But ask yourself who you're proving it to. Is it to your trainer, your friends, yourself, like your horse? Because quite often proving becomes the goal. But actually, it's information gathering, huh? Regardless of whether you had a fall the day before, you've had a fall, a week ago, or whatever has happened, you've had a run out, you've had a stop, like whatever happens, just watch that proving suddenly, doesn't become the goal. Because we talked about this in the last podcast, jumping double clear or going clear cross country or going clear show jumping, it doesn't suddenly make you a good rider. But funnily enough, when we then start saying, that one mistake, if you make it again in the competition or you were to fall off or something was to happen, I knew it. Like, that is an exhausting way to survive. Like, it's an exhausting way to actually, your mind is just batting back and forward information all day long. So actually have a really clear definition of success. Like, what do you want to get out of that competition? And if it's, we always say just to stay connected to your horse, to make clear decisions, to be in the present moment, then you're not proving anything. You're actually just, confidence comes and goes. It will come and go with a fall. It will come and go with results. It will come and go with 4 poles, 5 poles down, run out, stops, whatever. But connection is always there, and it's something that is always in our control, and it is something that we can always, always, always come back to. Like, confidence is a shit word for want of a better term, because it's so variable. It depends on so many things, huh? So if you're looking for confidence, I would actually just double check there that that is the most effective thing that you're searching for before you go off competing again.
Yeah, you don't really need the confidence, and now we're already leaning into the next part, because
Yeah.
yeah, we've actually planned, because it's a big question, and we felt like we probably best split this. We're gonna make this episode is more about the dealing with the fall, and the next episode will be more about that, preparing for that competition, which mindset
Yeah.
to go into it, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think ask yourself that question. If you're not, what is the competition for, huh? If you're not going in to prove yourself with, after a fall, moving up a level, like, what are you actually doing it for? Like, why are you doing it? And it's an interesting question, huh? If you're not doing it to prove it,
then it doesn't really matter, right?
if you're doing it for an experience and you want to better you and your horse and you want to trust your training all day long, then it doesn't really matter what happens. But if you're going in there to prove that you are ready, you're capable, you're a good rider, you can jump double clear, like whatever that looks like, well, it ain't going to work out too well. But if it's somewhere to practice connection, practice your training, practice all of those things, then for me, that's a way better mindset to go into.
Yeah.
And
definitely.
remember also as well, all your tools in your toolbox, like it doesn't it doesn't start at the competition either, huh? You've done this, you've trained for years and years and years and years, and one incident, that knocks the trust in yourself and your horse, suddenly everything's not wrecked, it's not ruined. That is your mind catastrophizing again, huh? There's that story because we've not quite finished it from the last time. So really it comes back to that thing. Is it evidence or is it a story?
Yeah, I love that as well. It's like do a fact check. Eh? It's oftentimes when we've had a fall, it doesn't even have to be a fall, right? It could just be one shitty distance as a fence, right? Then we immediately go down to that. Oh, see, I'm a shitty rider. Ah, I can't do this. But here's the thing: it is just one thing out of so many things, and we hone in on that one thing that would
Mm,
potentially maybe be proof that we aren't good enough, right? And we forget about all the other things. So yes, you fell now at one ride, but how many rides have you had before that where you didn't fall, right? Probably
mm.
way, 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 way more.
And I think exactly that too. You had a challenge in training. I had a challenge in training actually before I stepped up, but it actually made me pull my finger out a bit and buck up my ideas. And again, it's information. If you see it as information, take that with you, huh? Put it in your toolbox. Take it off when you start off cross country. It's it's there to make you ride better. And I think quite often when we step up, or certainly for me, there's no expectations there. Huh? I said to you, you said, are you ready? Or you didn't say, are you ready? But I can't remember what you said, all set or something. And I was like, yeah, I'm ready to give it a shot. Like, I'm ready to go out and give it a try, like, give it my best shot. So there was no expectation in there. But what I did expect from myself is to use all my tools in my toolbox, all my training, my ability to self-regulate, through my nerves and anxiety and all that kind of stuff to actually show up as the best version of me to give my horse the best ride that I could. That that's all. That was my intention.
Yeah, and I think sometimes it's almost easier when you make a step up because it is easier to have zero expectations because you've
Mm,
never done it before. Like
yeah,
everything is a starting point. Whatever happens at that event is the starting point. Like
yeah,
you can
100%.
always improve from there. So it doesn't really matter what happens. I think it gets trickier when you've been riding at a level for a while
100%.
and then you're starting to look at how can I improve my results and I can improve
Yeah,
those numbers and how can I get closer to that 70% in the dressage or how can I make sure I'm not radically around like that. I think it's trickier because then there is a starting point. You've done something in the past and you ideally want to improve upon what you've done before. But when you're really doing something for the first time, it's a blank sheet of paper. Like
yeah.
whatever happens today is just the beginning. That's the starting point, which you then can measure yourself against going forward.
Yeah. And I love what you say about scores because obviously we talked about this before, and of course we're all competitive, and we all want to get better. We all want to get better scores, but that has to not be your main focus. That comes a result of focusing more on your process, and sometimes just by pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone, like we learn so much more information. We have to figure things out a bit quicker. We have to commit to decisions. Like we have to do all of those things that are actually going to make us better. And I do agree sometimes when we get stuck in a level, this is going a bit off topic now, but if you get stuck in a level, it brings out that perfectionist mindset in so many people, huh? And then you're not good enough at that level. So then why should you try the next level? Because, your results are essentially not good enough on paper. So therefore, why should you try? And I know this lady had a fall the day before, but it's the same if people have falls at competitions or any of those kind of things. Like your mind will catastrophize, it's not got the ending of the story that it wants. So then it starts basically filling it in all the blanks with all sorts of other crap to protect you from essentially failure, making a fool of yourself, getting hurt, like whatever it looks like. Remember that your mind is a protection mechanism. It's there to keep you safe. You have to work really hard to find glimmers of safety when all it can see is danger that's staring you in the face saying, hey, like, this is a really bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Good-o. I think there was enough in here as a starting point. As always, if anyone has any more questions about this, do reach out to us. In the next episode, we're going to dive in a little bit more into the mindset when you make a step up. So a little bit more in general. Okay, bearing in mind that you might not have had the ideal preparation going into it
Yeah.
as well, but how you can still put yourself above that and still ride as well as you possibly can during that first time. Good-o. And as always, we're going to finish this episode with challenging you to start making strides in your mindset so you can truly make strides in your riding. And we will see you on the next Magical Monday.